Hi dear students, now let's explore the carbon cycle. If we go to look into the carbon cycle, we can see that various activities of man as well as the environment that we survive, we release a large amount of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Various actions such as burning of fossil fuels, the use of automobiles, the plant respiration, the processes of deforestation, as well as human and animal respiration could release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This carbon dioxide from the atmosphere can be utilized by the plants which have been found on the land, and they fix this carbon dioxide, resulting in the formation of organic matter. And we can see that even in the marine ecosystem, there are various life forms which could fix this carbon dioxide and provide organic matter. This organic matter, which is utilized by the plants, are further transferred to the animals as well as the humans, as well as various other life forms which consume organic food. And further on, when they are degraded, it will further release fossil carbon and which will form coal gas or coal, etc. So the carbon cycle will continue between the living forms as well as the non-living forms of the ecosystem. Now let's explore the microbiological part of the carbon cycle. If we're going to consider the carbon cycle, it mainly includes various processes such as photosynthesis, as we mentioned, which is being carried out by the plants most predominantly. Also, we have the process of decomposition, which will convert the organic carbon in the higher living forms into shorter forms like carbon dioxide and methane and all that. And also, you have various processes such as respiration. And you can find that in all these cases, these processes can be carried out in various major reservoirs such as the atmosphere, oceans, as well as the living organisms. If you go to classify the carbon cycle, it can be included into three different headings. One is the fixation of carbon dioxide into the organic matter, just like as we told in the case of plants. They can carry out a process called photosynthesis where carbon dioxide is converted into organic matter. At the same time, how does this carbon dioxide being generated? It could be by different methods like respiration, combustion, etc. That is all we mentioned earlier. And at the same time, the organic matter which is being formed has to be degraded into different forms. Either it can form carbon dioxide further, or ultimately it can also lead to various processes where methanogenesis can happen. You do remember when things degrade, they get a particular foul smell. It's mainly because the production of the gases such as methane and all that, which are foul smelling. So that is a matter of organic matter degradation. Now, I do not exclusively say that every time it leads into methanogenesis. It would be different factors also be present in organic matter degradation. But methanogenesis is an example of organic matter degradation. And now let's explore these steps in detail. Now, if you go to think of the process of carbon dioxide fixation, it is predominantly the process of carbon dioxide fixation is being carried out by plants. Like we have trees and crops, they are the most predominant cause of carbon dioxide fixing organisms. At the same time, we can see that the process of carbon dioxide fixation, almost half of this is being carried out on the earth, uh, is fixed by microbes, especially the marine photosynthetic bacteria as well as the protists. Okay, and now what are these? Now you know about the photosynthetic bacteria. The photosynthetic bacteria, it mainly includes cyanobacteria such as Prochlorococcus as well as Cyanococcus. These are cyanobacteria which are being found of marine origin, and as well as various protists. Now, for example, diatoms. These are the examples of protists which can carry out the process of carbon dioxide fixation. So The major portion of carbon dioxide fixation is being carried out by the plants, and half of the carbon dioxide fixation is being carried out by the photosynthetic bacteria as well as various protists which are being found in the marine system. And these two modes of carbon dioxide fixation, which has been carried out by the plants as well as the photosynthetic bacteria as well as protists, it has been found to be usually being considered to be oxygen or oxygenic. But at the same time, you can find that there's another mode, other two modes of carbon dioxide fixation has also been happening. Now, there would be an oxygenic photosynthesis where oxygen is not being liberated, as well as in the absence of light, sometimes you could also have a chemolithotropy by the microbes. So, the process of carbon dioxide fixation, it can be carried out by plants as well as microbes. Some microbes will do it with an oxygenic photosynthesis, whereas some will be doing it with an anoxygenic photosynthesis. And some organisms, some microbes, usually bacteria as well as archaea, they can do a process of called chemolithotropy. So let's see what are, of course, these two are clear to you. We will explore what is anoxygenic photosynthesis and chemolithotropy in the coming slides. Now, anoxygenic photosynthesis is a process where oxygen is not being liberated. The process of photosynthesis will happen, but oxygen is not being liberated. And it is being carried out by purple bacteria, green sulfur bacteria, hero bacteria, green gliding bacteria, etc. And as I mentioned here, in anoxygenic photosynthesis, here you can see in the reaction, oxygen is not being liberated. In addition of that, various carbohydrates and all that will be formed in the process of anoxygenic photosynthesis, unlike the process of oxygenic photosynthesis, where oxygen is being liberated. Now, if we go to look into the process of chemolithotropy, chemolithotropy is a process which normally happens in the absence of oxygen. Sorry, it's in the absence of oxygen. Now, here what happens? Not absence of oxygen, the absence of light. I made a mistake here. It normally happens in the absence of light. So, the energy source here is a chemical compounds. Various chemical compounds, like it can be usually inorganic compounds, and these inorganic chemicals are used as a source for the generation of energy, and it is being done exclusively by bacteria and by archaea. And usually, the electron sources for the electron transports, they are being found to be inorganic compounds. And various inorganic compounds, like it can be hydrogen gas, sometimes it can be sulfur compounds, or it can be nitrogen compounds, as well as ferrous ion. They can be used as the electron donors here for the carbon dioxide fixation process. And you can find that, as I mentioned earlier, in the deep dark ocean, most of the bacterial chemolithotropy constitutes happens, and it contributes to about a major portion of the marine carbon dioxide fixation. So, as we mentioned earlier, we have carbon dioxide fixation as one process which is important here. Like we had mentioned over here, the carbon dioxide fixation which is happening, and that is mainly being carried out by various processes of photosynthesis and all that. And if you go to look into the carbon dioxide cycle, as I told you, we have different sources of carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide can be fixed by different methods like carbon dioxide fixation as well as photo and chemolithotropy here, and you form organic matter. And this organic matter can be further degraded to form either carbon dioxide or methane. So the process of organic matter degradation could result in either the formation of carbon dioxide and methane. And you can see that this methane could also be produced from inorganic substrates. Now, sometimes when the organic matter is being degraded, various inorganic substrates can be formed, and uh, among that, carbon dioxide and hydrogen together can combine together, and that can also form various sometimes organic. It can result in the formation of methane, or by the degradation of organic matter itself, you can form methane over here. And you can see that the carbon monoxide, which has been produced from the automobiles or the industry, is returned to the carbon cycle by carbon carbon monoxide oxidizing bacteria also. And you can see what happens is various methano, or by the process of oxidative processes, what happens? Methane is being converted back into carbon dioxide also. So when you go to consider the carbon cycle, you have various reactions. It could be what? Carbon dioxide is converted into organic matter by the process of carbon dioxide fixation, or by photosynthesis, or it can be by chemolithotropy also. And this organic matter can be further degraded into carbon dioxide, and sometimes the carbon dioxide as well as various other inorganic compounds such as hydrogen will combine together, resulting in the formation of methane, or by the degradation of organic matter itself you can get methane. And you can see that this carbon, normally the carbon monoxide which has been formed from automobiles as well as industry, can be in turn converted into carbon dioxide by using the carbon monoxide oxidizing bacteria, as well as the methane which is being formed over here can be further oxidized, okay, and they can be converted into the carbon dioxide also by various other microorganisms. So this is the, you can understand that at various stages different microorganisms are being involved in the carbon cycle. So we have the organic matters converted into carbon dioxide, that is clear to you. And then we have the carbon dioxide which is being converted into methane. And you can see that this conversion, as I mentioned earlier, uh, using hydrogen and carbon dioxide or hydrogen and acetate, can be carried out only by RK bacteria. And we can see that certain uh, proteobacteria, okay, they can also produce methane in the sediments, okay, and either this can be done by aerobic processes, and in anaerobic reactions you can see RK as well as some newly discovered bacteria can also be carry out what? Methane oxidation. So the process of methane production as well as methane oxidation also is possible. You know how methane is being produced? Methane is produced by either the action of bacteria, methanogenic bacteria. Okay, now it can be present in by archaea as well as in certain ruminant animals, methanes can be formed. And at the same time, you can see that in the case of sediments, it is further oxidized either aerobically by proteobacteria or anaerobically by archaea to form the process called the methane oxidation. As we mentioned earlier over here, I think you can have a look here. That is, the methane oxidation can be carried out in the sediments over here, resulting further in the production of carbon dioxide. So this is a process of carbon cycle which we have here, which we have the process of formation of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is fixed to form organic matter. It is degraded to form carbon dioxide as well as methane, and the process of methanogenesis can sometimes be happening in the case of ruminant animals as well as in the case of archaebacteria also. And in the case of sediments, you can see that the oxidative process of conversion of methane to carbon dioxide also do happen. So with this, we come to an end of the carbon cycle. Thank you for now.